Hi, Vanessa here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm with Joanna Belfour, book connoisseur, bookshop owner, and self-proclaimed book lady. And we're here at her beautiful space, Bel Canto Books. Tell us a little bit about your bookshop.
Absolutely. Well, we're located in this beautiful shop collective called The Hangout, and what you see behind us is basically our bookstore wall. And so we change it out every month, depending on whatever the theme of that month is. And what's nice about being in this larger shop collective is that we have access to this beautiful space to do author events, workshops, and kind of whatever we think of. There's a garden here, and yes, and other vendors who are also doing super creative things. So it's just a very inspiring space to be in, and that it's a draw in the city of Long Beach.
It is a beautiful space.
Thank you.
And I think as a book lovers, our dream is to own a bookshop, and you've achieved that dream. So tell us about your vision for the shop and how it all came together. Like, how was Bel Canto Books born?
So we started initially as a pop-up, and this all came about because right in the 2016 election, everyone, myself included, was super upset with where things had gone. I really had imagined that we were going to go a different route, and was just very disappointed and disheartened. And I had been working in the hotel industry for about 15 years and had gotten to the point where I had gotten, as far as I wanted to go or could go in my company, and was starting to think of, is this it? I was kind of starting to hit my 40s and thinking, okay, if this is going to be the rest of my life, am I happy with that?
Right.
And I found myself thinking, I want more. I want to be able to be more active in my community, and I had always had this passion for literature. I'd been an English major in college.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And was one of those kids that you could not get their heads out of the book, and spent summer vacations, very excitedly going to the bookmobile.
I think we are kindred spirits.
Exactly. And so I had just started to think okay, I want to do something in that realm.
Right.
And I'm also a writer. I write poetry.
Oh, okay, I did not know
Yes,
that.
that's a secret tip.
Very nice.
And so a friend of mine had been going to this writer conference for the last few years, and at this in 2016, the conference was in DC, right before the inauguration, and I went to go hear one of my favorite authors read, Ann Patchett, and she also owns a bookstore. And one of the things that she talked about in their conversation was her experience of having opened this bookstore in Nashville called Parnassus Books. And she said, I'm an author, I'm a very solitary person. I didn't think that I would enjoy being, the face of this bookstore and having to talk to people all the time, and having weird conversations, that kind of thing. And she said that to her surprise, it had become one of the things she most looks forward to, in that her shop has become a space for people to come together from various walks of life, various opinions, and different reading preferences, but everyone there is open-minded. They want to learn, they want to hear great stories, and she just really found it to be a really beautiful experience. And
That's
so
fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, to hear one of your favorite authors speak, and then not just to hear her speak, to speak to you about this passion.
I felt like she was talking to me.
Right, to you, and to spark this, inspire you with this idea of opening a bookstore. So how long between you being at that talk and you making that big decision to do that, to leave your job and start a bookshop?
So I started small, and I think that was another, because again, I think for everything there's a book.
Yes.
And actually my husband had gotten me as a gift this book called The $100 Startup.
Ooh.
And in it, the author talks about the fact that he argues that you don't need a lot of money to start an idea. He said, actually, in fact, it's better to start small, because then you're not stressing yourself out with raising all this money, and you don't know if this is going to be successful. And so the number one thing that I took away from that was, what's a really small thing that you can do that's different from everybody else, and how can you implement it in a very easy way?
Entrepreneur tips 101. Okay. I mean, for me, I always thought being an entrepreneur is you need to have a lot of backing. I thought that you don't even
thousands and thousands of dollars.
Don't even think about it unless you know that you have some sort of capital to put into it. But what you're telling me is that you started small, and well, look at where we are
Yeah.
today. But I mean, like, that's a very interesting mindset to have as an entrepreneur. So you, from there, where did you go after that?
So what I thought of was, what's the thing that I can do that's different, that would be different? And so what the idea came up with, our book club.
Yes.
And our book club is different. We don't all come together to read one book, because what my friends had told me was, that I was really good at suggesting books to people.
And she really is. I mean, I met Joanna maybe 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago. It was my first time in the shop. And when I get into bookshops, I'm super overwhelmed. Like I told her earlier, I get like butterflies, and she was so calm. She said, so what do you like to read? Like this technique you have about kind of filtering out my needs, what I was feeling that day, because we all know that what you feel today
depends.
really doesn't know what you feel. And you had this like calming technique. Like, is that something
Thank you.
you like honed over time, or is that something like your friends have always said, Joanna, you're so good at this? Like,
I think it's just naturally comes to me. I laugh because I joke that all my years of being an obsessive reader and ignoring people so that I could read books has led to this moment, and that I've always had this secret plan, but it's totally not the case.
it probably was.
It has just fallen into place, and I really, I could talk about books for days, and I'm always, it's like, this is probably super annoying, but that reminds me of a book, and everything reminds me of a book,
Right.
and I really just love to help people find something that I think they're going to enjoy.
I think that's the experience of coming into a bookshop, right? Like when you're browsing by yourself, there is so much more to the book. Like, a little bit tidbits and things that kind of make the book come alive. And I remember that you did that for me when I first walked in. You're like, well, have you heard of this book? And it actually relates back to the history of like X, Y, Z. And that tells me so much more than the back of a book would. And I felt like I got like a VIP experience when I came here. So thank you for
awesome.
that. I thought you did a really great
thank
job
you.
of that. So now that we know that you have all these books, and you said you change them out quite often, what is your process for curating books? I mean, it must be exciting,
Yes.
but also a lot of work
It
as
is.
well.
It is.
right?
And it's, in some ways it's kind of a little bit of an analytical process, but it's also very organic. The analytical part, or kind of more structured part, is that at the beginning of the year I kind of set out that these, each month I'm going to have a particular theme. And so a lot of times that corresponds to whatever's being celebrated that month. So behind us right now, Black History Month.
Yeah.
And then based on that, so I have like a kind of overarching theme, and then I start to think, okay, these are the categories of books that I really love, because I think that was the other entrepreneurial tip that I got, was do something that you love, because if your passion for something comes through, then people will respond to that.
It will just come and follow, right? People are inspired by passion,
Yeah.
right? When you see someone is so passionate about something, you get inspired, and what's this all about?
Exactly.
Like, yeah. no,
Exactly.
that's great.
Yeah, so then I hone in on particular categories of books that I really love, like literary fiction, travel books, books for women's empowerment, and then based on that theme, I kind of start to look at, okay, well, these are some of the books that I think I really need to have, and then I also pay attention to what's in the book news, what's happening on Bookstagram.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
And there is a lot of information out there, so it can be overwhelming. But I just, kind of work away at it and start kind of at the beginning of the month before to start thinking of books for the following month. And then I just try things out. What's really lovely about having such a small shop is that we're very reactive, and we
Right.
can be very reactive. So if all of a sudden I see like, oh, there was a big book that I didn't order, I can just go and buy, a couple copies of it.
awesome.
So-
Yeah, you're not, you don't have restraints in that, right? You're more flexible. I remember
Exactly.
I had wanted a book, and Joanna's like, oh, I'll be getting it soon. Like, I'll let you know when it comes in. And that type of experience as a reader, I mean, it just kind of elevates like the reading experience. But on top of that, into the digital age, I was telling Joanna how much I loved her newsletters. Receiving newsletters sometimes can be like boring. I was going to say it boring, right? But what she really does great is that you have so many events, right? B, you always offer these tidbits, and they're always broken up into this great thing. So tell us about these events that you have, especially your book club, because it's such a unique concept, right? I mean, we talk about book clubs, and we just think it's people reading the same book, they get together, they kind of talk about it, or they kind of not. but your book club is completely different. So can you share with us about
Absolutely.
how you arrange that?
Yeah. So the thing when I was thinking about book clubs is I think I thought about what are the frustrations,
Right.
You know, because everybody has this idea in mind of like it's a bunch of ladies
Yeah.
and they have wine and they have this book, but do they actually ever talk about it? And so having talked to friends about their book club experiences, what I found was the biggest frustrations were, you know, whoever picks the book it's a book that doesn't appeal to you.
Yeah, I hear
You
that
know?
quite often. We're like, oh, do we really all have to read this book?
Yeah, because you know you obviously want to be fair, and everybody takes turns picking a book, and so it might be months before you get to a book that you're actually excited about.
Yeah, that I want to read. Yeah.
So that was one big thing, and then the second thing was even if you've chosen a book, and then lots of people, because maybe they don't like it or they don't have time, they didn't read it.
Yeah.
And so you really can't have a good discussion.
Realities of a book club,
Yeah.
for sure.
And so I thought, well, what if we just do away with those two things? Like the thing I'm really good at is recommending books.
Yes.
And what I really enjoy about any event is being able to get together with people and talk and connect.
And I think that's what it is. You know, you go to these things because you want to see your friends,
Right.
and you want to have that chat, but you also want to have this book element to being a book lover. Yeah.
Exactly. So what we decided to do is just take away the hardship, essentially, and make it all about fun and the things that you want. Because I think also everyone's super busy. You know, you have so little time, and I think people want to read and are finding the value of reading and the time to reflect and dig deep in a subject. But again, they don't want to read a book that's not great.
Right. That maybe they're not super interested in. Yeah.
So with our book club, when you sign up for book club, you get a survey that asks exactly what kind of books do you, Vanessa, like to read.
Right.
And then based on that survey, I go through my little brain and pick out a book that I think you'll love. And then when we come together, everybody gets their books, and it's, everybody gets a separate
So people
individual
get
book.
tailored books based on that survey. That is so cool. It's kind of like Christmas or your
Yeah.
birthday when you come to these book clubs, and it's like a surprise, right? So, and I kind of love that element of it, the surprise. Like I kind of told you a little bit, and I want to see what you picked for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
and it's
goodness.
super fun to me because a lot of times it's friends of mine who sign up, but then other times it'll be complete strangers.
Right.
And, and there's always that element of surprise, and that I meet somebody and I think, oh, they must really love whatever. And then they do their survey and I'm like, huh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And then when we get together, we focus on the fun stuff. So we have the big reveal of what book each person got.
And that must be fun too, to see like, hey, what did you get? Or and then kind of be like, oh, I really like that. Like maybe we can borrow each other, or like, Joanna, do you have this in stock? Like that's cool too. Kind of giving so much exposure to such multiple and various authors.
Yeah, and I really try to pick, obviously there's hundreds and thousands of authors out there, and I try to focus on, more, I would say, independent authors, things that aren't
Celebrate
getting,
independent authors.
exactly,
Yeah.
things that are not getting the huge buzz, because you're going to find that book at, Target or
Sure,
Barnes & Noble
yeah.
or Amazon. What I really want to focus on is smaller authors books that I really, that I personally read and that I was blown away by and that I want to share with other people. So
Right.
basically, it's a selfish way for me to
Well, it's kind of
spread
like
my
having that
opinion.
friend who's read a lot of books, and you're at the bookstore, you're like, hey, like, Joanna,
What should I be picking up?
What should I read, right? And instead of that, you're getting that, at your book clubs, but you're getting to meet new people, you're enjoying some eats, some non-alcoholic drinks. You just walk away with a brand new book and brand new friends.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really exciting. So how often do you do that?
We do it once a month, and I think it's been really successful because I've found also that a lot of people are moving to Long Beach from elsewhere,
Okay, yeah.
and so they're looking for a way to make community.
Right.
And obviously, as adults, it's it's much harder when you are
Yes.
a lot of people work from home,
Yes.
or their work people do not care about books, And so to be able to find this community of book lovers has been really a joy.
I think it's absolutely so special, and especially for this space that you created. And I will show you the space because it's so communal. It has this like communal vibe.
Absolutely.
It's very warm and opening, and conversations just start up. I mean, somebody just walked in earlier, and we just struck up a conversation with them, and you get those it's like good people meet good people, and it's really nice to see.
I like that.
But you're saying like Long Beach is picking up, and you also have pop-ups at like farmers market. So tell us a little bit about being at the farmers market, because I visited you there, and it's really bustling, and obviously you can't bring all your books there, right? So how do you make the choices of what to show there, and what kind of people do you meet over there?
So it's each time it's different, and what I found out with the pop-ups, so we started with the book club, and then we branched out and started doing pop-ups around town, and now we regularly do the downtown Long Beach Farmers Market twice a month. And it's so interesting to find how the audience changes completely. Like we've done pop-ups where we were up in near the Belmont Shore area, which is much more family oriented, and we were actually popped up in front of a local salon, so we get a lot of moms coming in. And so at that pop-up, we would always have, I would always make sure to have a lot of children's books and books that I thought appealed to moms or women. And then at the downtown farmers market, it's much more, it's at the lunch hour, it's from 10 to 2. And so you get a lot of professionals coming through, some families, but really a lot of young professionals. And so I don't do as many children's books there because I've just found that there's not as much of a need. But I definitely focus on what do I think are, kind of cool hip books that young people want to be reading. And then I still tie it to the theme that's at the store, because now it's worked out really well that I could say to people when they come to the pop-up, oh, if if you're looking for more books, we have a shop not too far away, and we have a lot more inventory there.
Inventory and selection and things like that. Well, no, that's really exciting because you're on two folds, right? You have the pop-ups and then you have the stores. And if you're listening to what I'm saying, she's saying she picks up, like she curates all these books for people in her book club, right? So being an entrepreneur, like what are the fun and challenging parts of it? Because it sounds like you have a little bit of both.
Yes.
It's fun and it's challenging.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think the fun part is just what you were saying in terms about connecting with people. Because every single day that I am, out with the bookstore or in the bookstore space, I meet somebody that I maybe didn't know before, or see an old friend, but we have a conversation that we hadn't had before.
Right.
And so you're always learning something different. And people are, I think that's very true, that if you have a positive attitude, you get positivity back. And it's really nice to see in this day and age with so much, terrible things going on, that to see that people are actually really nice people, mostly.
And it's books. It's a shared love of books.
Exactly. Right? And that's the thing my husband tells me. He's like, well, it's kind of a self-selecting group of people. I said, well, yes, book people are the best people.
I agree with you completely.
1,000%. And so that's the really fun part is, picking the bookstore wall, and then when somebody comes in, and I even just hearing them, like they go walk in, they're like, oh, a bookstore. Like that makes me so happy.
Right.
I just love that.
But specifically, I mean, being an entrepreneur is itself very motivating. But what does it mean to be a local bookshop owner? Like, let us know why it's important to support local bookshops. I mean, we talk about how Amazon's taken over. You have the big companies, but what does it mean to support a local bookstore?
Absolutely.
I think it's very important for people to understand how they're part of the communities and what it means to be a bookshop owner.
Well, and I think it's the thing to think about is what kind of world do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a world where you can go into your local store, whether it's a bookstore or a farmer's market or a clothing store, and have a community? Have people that you get to know over time, and you're like, oh, hey, like your coffee shop person, and they know your order, they have all your stuff ready to go, and to be able to have that experience and have a lively, conversation. Exactly. And then the unexpected. You never know what you're going to see or who you're going to meet when you're out and about in your own community. Whereas, I think that obviously there's a time and a place where the convenience factor of being able to order online is 100% necessary.
She also ships books.
I do.
Yeah.
And so there is that need. But then you think of like, so what would that world look like?
Right.
It's completely automated. You are not seeing people.
Right.
You are only seeing the things that an algorithm is showing you. You're not, not taking the time to connect with other human beings. You're on a screen all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think it depends on what's important to you. I love shopping locally and seeing my local farmers market people and seeing what they have,
Yeah.
what is this weird vegetable? I don't even know what that is. And talking to people and learning random things. And so I really value that. And so I'm a big believer in, if it's something that's important to you, then you have to put your time and your energy and your money behind it.
And I love how you frame that. What kind of world do you want to live in, right? And especially for, I want to say for book lovers, we're open, we're aware, it takes a lot of work behind authors to put together a book, but also to have someone showcase, like you said, you love supporting local independent authors. That is so important. And it really gives them voices as well. So I know you work with companies that help you do that. So what are those companies?
Absolutely. So one of the companies that we work with is called Libro FM. They're an audiobook company, and what I love about them is they have pretty much every audiobook that you would want to have. But when you choose to use them for your audiobooks, you're supporting indie bookstores, because when you go on their website, you can type in where you're located, and then it'll show you a list of bookstores in your area, and it'll ask, is this one of the bookstores you'd like to support? And so if you click on that link and choose Belcanto Books, we get a little bit of the profit from that.
Right.
Exactly. And then we also talk about what kind of books we are loving on audiobook, and it's just another way to experience a book. I've heard from people saying, asking like, well, is listening to an audiobook, does that still count as reading?
That debate so many times.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think?
It absolutely counts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, I listen to maybe 3 audiobooks like a month, because I just love them. And Libro has been amazing in their selection. And I love reading, but what I love to do is I love listening to the audiobook and reading at the same time. So sometimes I would be in my car, listen to the audiobook, and I want to know what happens. I want to rush home and open the book. So that's awesome. So Libro FM, is there any other companies that also help support local bookshops? There's
actually a brand new company called bookshop.org, and it was started by a partnership between indie booksellers, the American Booksellers Association, some of the big publishers, to provide an easy way for people to be able to buy books. That's not, through your giant conglomerate. And so if you care about supporting indie bookstores and indie authors, that's a great way to shop, because it's really fun. Like I love, I always laugh because I feel like you can tell when something is created by not necessarily just millennials, but people who are up on the digital media.
Right.
Like, it was ridiculously easy to use, and then they have this option where you can basically create special reading lists or recommendation lists. And so we're using it to highlight the various books that we really love for, like, say, Black History Month. Next month will be Women's History Month, so we'll have a new reading list there of like our top 15 books if you want to pick up a book about women's history. But then you can just go on there and just type in, whatever.
It sounds super easy to use, links up with you guys. So I think like it's innovative thinking like that shapes back what kind of world do you want to live in.
Absolutely.
And knowing that, where do you see Belcanto Books in the long-term future? What would be Joanna's dream of how your bookshop will grow over the years?
Yeah. Well, big picture in my, if I had all the time and all the money, I would love to have a space that was a bookstore, coffee shop / wine shop.
Ooh.
Yes. Because
I'm very interested in
yes,
that.
because if you know me at all, you know that I love wine and cheese plates and coffee. And so that would be like my dream, would be to have a space very, not unlike the Hangout, but has that ability to offer, drinks and snacks and a comfortable place for people to hang out and be in the space for a while.
Right.
I think of I went to school and college up in Northern California where there's so many great independent bookstores, and a lot of them are bookstore coffee shops.
Right.
And I spent days and nights studying for exams in my local coffee shop / bookstore, and just having a wonderful time and learning about books.
And those are great spaces, right? Like when you think back to your college days, or what is your your environment that you like, that's what I think of too when I think about reading. I think of a place where they're surrounded by books, by good coffee and wine and things like that. Because you want to switch out to wine in the evening,
right?
And you want to still visit your bookshop. Oh my goodness, please do it.
Yes.
Please do it. So
That's our dream. We'll keep you posted.
well, you've done this amazing work so far. It's only been a
Thank you.
short amount of
Yes.
time, right? Like you just opened Bel Canto Books like not too long ago in this space here.
We moved in November 5th of last year.
Yeah, and so you're definitely on track to do amazing things. And from what I've heard today, you are really like a one-woman show. Your love for books driving this passion, and we're so thankful that you're
thank you.
here. I'm really excited that Bel Canto Books is one of my local bookshops. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers?
I just wanted to mention, we talked about the events that we do in the store. That's one of the things that's really near and dear to my heart, because I feel like being able to see the author live
Yes.
is so different from just reading the book at home.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of great events coming up in the next few months. You can go to our website and see the event list, and keep a lookout for that, because I think it's, again, that unexpected, maybe that's not we had a poetry reading here in December,
Right.
which made me so happy because I'm a poet. And then we had people who just wandered in and then, have told me since then, like, that was really amazing. Like, I really loved going to that.
Like, what's this?
Yeah,
And
I'd
what
never
else do you
read
have?
poetry before, and I didn't
Right.
know that it could be something that I would be interested in.
Right.
And so I just love bringing something new to folks.
Do you ever do any of your own poetry?
Oh
readings?
gosh, I have not done that in a very long time. So maybe someday.
That would garner a crowd, I think. That would garner a crowd. I would come.
Aw, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And we can have cheese and wine?
Yes.
Okay. But I will link down Joanna's website and some few of the things that she mentioned below. She has also lots of craft events as well. So look out for those, because I think that's fun. An afternoon of picking out books and doing craft bookish things. That sounds amazing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, but thank you so much for having us in your
Absolutely.
space today, your beautiful space. And if you're in Long Beach, come and check
Come
out
visit.
Bel Canto Books. Joanna will be here.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Would love to see you.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.